So, welcome to the Treasury Elite Leadership Series. I would like to thank all our viewers and members for supporting this noble cause of Treasury Elite, whose main objective is networking, knowledge sharing, and mentoring. Time and again, we bring in world class speakers and business leaders from across the world in the field of financial markets and entrepreneurship, conduct various programs, webinars, and conferences in different formats. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Abhishek Goenka, founder and CEO of IFA Global and Treasury Elite. We bring in one-stop treasury and FX solutions for companies across India for the last 16 years. And today we have Dr. Kishore Kumar. Dr. Kumar is an internationally acclaimed neonatologist who have worked in 4 continents over the course of his career, covering North America, UK, Asia, and 12 years in Australia. Among his many awards, he has been honored and facilitated by former US President Mr. Bill Clinton for his exceptional achievements in the field. After spending nearly 18 years overseas, Dr. Kishore established the Cloudnine Group of Hospitals in 2006. The genesis of the hospital was rooted in his belief that pregnancy is wellness, not an illness. Through Cloudnine, he is determined to raise quality and service standards in maternal and neonatal care in India, a vision he has successfully achieved over the last decade. Welcome, Kishore. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek.
Glad to have you today as a part of the Treasury Elite Leadership Series. In the next few minutes, would love to learn about your experiences and your entrepreneurial journey. Dr.
Sure.
Kumar, I think I keep interacting with a lot of global CEOs, and one thing that I found something common in all of them is it is just not about the money. What keeps you excited every single morning to get to work? Or if I may ask, what is your why?
Thank you, Abhishek. That's a very, very good question. And I think a lot of people keep wondering what drives people. Your question of what drives me to work every day. Look, I am a neonatologist, and every morning I want to make a difference to a family and a parent or a grandparent seeing their premature babies or the baby get better. Seeing that smile is what makes me happy. No one could imagine at the age of 42, at the peak of my career, when I became a professor of neonatology and head of the department of neonatology in a fascinating country like Australia, I resigned. Everybody thought I was mad. And that's really, everybody keeps asking what made you to resign. And the thing is, it had become a monotonous job for me. Whereas in India, I felt India needed me at that time. And that is what we call as a passion. I didn't even blink an eye to resign from a job which I was fetching almost $1 million a year to come to with starting a hospital when I had no income for almost 1.5, 2 years.
Mhm.
So passionate people don't think whether they can fail in their career path, and they just move ahead. And they don't think it's Monday to Friday job. So money becomes secondary. Success is their amrut or wine, whichever you want to call it. So every day, the new challenges being addressed successfully is what drives me. And in my case, honestly, saving a premature baby, which everybody thinks that they cannot survive, what drives me.
Correct. Sir, we as entrepreneurs have had our own ups and downs. Would love to know some of your important milestones and learnings in your entrepreneurial journey since 2006.
So Abhishek, I am fascinated with this question because when somebody asks me what are my ups and downs, I rarely remember my downs because see, I'm a person who I keep saying that I don't take my worries into bed. I sleep well. So most entrepreneurs are more like this. They don't remember the downs, but they remember the ups. Otherwise, it will waste their, in other words, hard drive space here trying to remember the downs. you learn from the downs and you move on to see how you can go up.
Correct.
So I certainly remember my first entrepreneur journey when I first met one of my Jewish colleagues who is late Alfred Grog. One day he told me, Kishore, if you want to your children to get a seat in a private school, your academics is not going to achieve you a seat. And that's when I realized that money is important, and we started thinking about entrepreneurship, and we did a lot of things in Australia, which helped me to uh, achieve a little monetary benefit. But then I met President Bill Clinton, as you mentioned, and in his brief talk, and he said the next century belongs to India. And that's when it struck me, and I said, look, we really need to do something. The next century is for India, but we are seeing 26 million babies are born here in India, out of which almost 2.6 million babies die in the first year of life. So I really felt that we need to change the maternal and neonatal care in a big way. And that's what brought me back, and we started Cloudnine in 2006. People thought I was mad, but even one of the patients, one of my first patients who delivered, I remember the room also, in room 106. He had just finished his financial MBA, and he enjoyed our hospitality and the delivery of his baby and all that. But he said, look, you are so nice, you are so humble, having achieved so much. I wanted to do something from my side. So he brought this Excel sheet and showed me, Dr. Kumar, I honestly feel that for the quality of work you're doing, even if you charge double what you're charging now, it'll take 10 years for you to break even. That's what his analysis of financial statement Excel he had prepared.
Gotcha.
And so he said, you have to rethink your business because you may be a good academician, but this will not work. That was in 2006. He was the third patient who delivered in Cloudnine. Today, when he comes to follow up every time, he says, my MBA was a failure because I predicted wrong things for you. So we moved from there to now we are opening 8 more branches this year. And we are the largest maternal and neonatal chains in India. Not only that, we have actually become so popular that there are a lot of similar brands which are cropping up every day and copying our models. So I'm glad because India has 1.3 billion population. They need more Cloudnines than ever. We can only open so many. So the copying of our brand and our protocols and SOPs is a real pat in the back, and I really feel good about it. So I remember only ups. Honestly, I don't remember the downs, and the downs are always going to be there. But it's a waste of your time and energy if you remember the downs and start grumbling about it. That's the way I look at it. Maybe somebody else may disagree, but the downs are there to teach you how to go up again. But apart from that, I only remember the ups. I hope I
So,
answered your question.
so rightly said. Uh, how do you define down? The question is that it's just an outcome. You have defined it down in your head.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just an outcome. And when after 10, 20 years, like you have already passed, say 15 years in that journey, then you start thinking and you feel that it was just connecting the dot. So most of the people who have made it large in this fraternity, typically I get this answer from them that it was just an outcome. It helped me to evolve as a better person. And that's all. Correct, sir. In fact, my next question to you is about finance. Now, being from the medical fraternity, numbers and finance may not be something that you must be looking at every day. Lately, mergers and acquisitions in the hospital space, healthcare space is rampant. Recently, I saw multiple sold Vikram hospitals to Manipal Group, and a host of deals have happened in the last 8, 10 years. A lot of private equity people have taken interest. In fact, in your case, I was going through that you have dealt with people like Matrix, Sequoia, IVFA, any major learnings, especially on fundraising or handling finances, that you will like to share with the similar professionals in your field with not a very strong finance background? Any major learnings that you would like to share with them?
Oh, there are lots of good learnings. See, we started Cloudnine in 2006, but what happens is obviously we had angel investors with us, and without which we couldn't have started. But what people need to understand is healthcare is a totally different kind of business, and returns are a little bit slower, but it is steady and it will happen. And unless people understand the healthcare industry in a different way, they compare to something like Amazon or .com or Flight, Flipkart, they will be disappointed because the rapidity of returns is usually slow, and the VCs and Ps generally talk about 7x, 10x, 20x for all these software industries. Whereas if you look at the healthcare industry, maximum you get is 6x. And so when they invest, they expect returns in 3 to 4 years. Now, when we started in 2006, we took almost 3, 4 years to break even and even create a brand of recognition. Now, when the brand of recognition happened, finally, when we started looking for VCs or PEs to come on board so that we can open few more branches and spread across the city and then country. Now, our angel investors were quite keen to cash in on whatever they had invested because it had been nearly 4 or 5 years. So one of the biggest uh, disappointment for me was we sold 45% of our stake to the initial PE investor Matrix, which if I had a choice that day, I would probably not have given more than 20 or 30%. Losing 45% was almost like losing my arm.
Right.
Now, retrospectively, Matrix, who had invested 45% at that time with a 100 crore valuation, is walking away with the 15x in 10 years' time. So he must be the happiest person, in other words. So the most important thing is the lessons which you asked me is you really need to have partners who understand the healthcare industry in a big way, and people need to be patient. And secondly, healthcare is not a place where you invest money expecting returns. Returns will happen eventually, but unless you are patient and you compare it to Flipkart or Amazon, then it will be very, very difficult.
Correct. Correct. That's a very, very interesting takeaway you have given for people. Time and again, people get bogged down, people get excited about the news that they hear, but they often don't understand the pain of the promoters, that what they go through managing business and investors together in this journey, and making sure you have an amicable relationship, a great business, giving them exit in the shortest period of time. It's a difficult combination. Correct, correct. Sir, apart from this private equity situation, I understand that India produces a lot of doctors. World over, I think 25-30% are Indian doctors. But India succumbs to two things. Is one is lack of proper nursing, paramedical staff. Also, I think what doctors say that they have a situation where there's a lot of problem of retention. And I was looking at one of your interviews, which said that nowadays customer experience has become paramount because companies have been investing so much on customer delight that businesses like you have a very difficult task who's working 24 by 7. How do you handle these kind of situations, and what can the overall hospitals fraternity can do? Because we have to adopt. So what can be done?
That's a very good question, Abhishek. Most people don't realize, and the reason why one of the reasons we are successful is we put ourselves in the different shoes. In other words, if you look at the nursing industry, for example, nursing is pay is very, very low in India for the work they do. If you extrapolate the payment, it is extremely low. So from day one, we decided that we will look after our, whether it's nursing or housekeeping or security, we have to look after them well. So what we do is we pay them better than the industry norms. Plus, we pay them bonuses regularly. We look after them on the special days like a nursing day, and their birthdays. We give gifts. We give them women. Women's Day. We have a lot of competitions. So a lot of these sort of team building exercises for the workers, and also not treating them like dirt, which is happening in many hospitals because the nurses are the last people to be respected. We treat, whether they're security or gatekeepers or housekeeping, we treat them with dignity. We treat them with the same amount of respect what we do for the doctors. And every person, whether it's a doctor, nurse, or security, we celebrate their birthday with a small cake cutting with all the employees on that day, spending not more than 5 minutes because we're all busy. And that makes them feel they're part of the game. That is one small thing. Second thing is, see, the customer delight. I mean, pregnancy, as you rightly mentioned in the introduction, one of our motto was pregnancy is a wellness, not an illness. That's why we started Cloud9, because you definitely don't want to deliver a baby and enjoy your happiness next to a cancer patient who is dying in next room, and your happiness becomes guilt feeling because they are sad and crying because somebody is dying with a terminal illness, and you are celebrating the birth of a baby. So that's why we started a separate hospital for mother and baby. And when I was sitting and looking at the parents going out of the hospital in the first few months of opening, I saw one parent going so much excited, and there was nobody accompanying them. And I said, "This cannot happen. This is a happy occasion." So that's when we actually started about 4 months later that any parent getting discharged should be accompanied by one housekeeping and one nurse to their car. The car should get decked up with either blue or pink ribbons, depending on a boy or a girl, because that is the traditional colors which has been followed up. And we also deck them with the balloons and things like that. So over a few months, we thought about all this and we continue to improve. That's why what we say is we are never happy with what we are doing today, because we always are looking at various ways how to improve the services.
Lovely, lovely. It was lovely to talk to you, Kishorji. Your thoughts about the entire industry, your thoughts to budding entrepreneurs in the field, your thoughts of how to delight a customer and how does the little soft touch means a lot for anyone who's coming out of the hospital, and thoughts on learning from your experiences and not taking any unpleasant surprises personally to heart was I'm sure a lot of people who are hearing to you today or will be hearing you in this interview would gain a lot. And definitely, it was very interesting to talk to you because I talked to a lot of people who have been, in finance and professionals turned entrepreneurs, but someone, a doctor who's handsomely earning in in Australia, coming back to India, working in something which is very, very new and which is there as a need in India, as numbers you have stated, 113 on a lakh, which is a very, very high number. And now it's growing. I'm sure a lot of people are taking cues and building brands around it. But as you rightly said, India needs a lot more, and time is short, and India needs a lot more. Lovely, sir. Great initiative with Cloud9. I wish you all the very best, and I wish every member of your family and your entire team they get out of this pandemic safe and hearty. Thank you so much for your time once again.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir.